I want to share. I am dealing with my angry mind these past few weeks in particular. It's been flabbergasted, horrified, furious, stunned, outraged in regards to what I'm seeing and hearing, not only in our country, but just generally in the world. There's some specifics, but generally, when I check in with the world and our country, my mind is just really upset. So I told Venerable Children about this angry mind of mine a few days ago, and she gave me a very direct teaching as to why this mind is so dangerous and why I need to counteract it as possible and what to do. And so the Buddha gave us some really clear teaching on how to see this angry mind, what it does to us, what it does to our relationships, how it kills our joy, our trust, our harmony, our connectedness as human beings. And we can pretty much we can see pretty plainly how it destroys right now, as we can see it, all those qualities of trust, harmony, connectedness, joy. And I know that with everything that's going on, all the reactions, the responses, the words, the actions that are going on in the world, it's really hard not to get drawn into the drama, get drawn into the crisis, and then to react. And I have to keep remembering that there is only one person that I am really able to deal with in regards to this kind of mind, and only one person that I can truly be responsible for, first and foremost, before I can even look and experience and respond. So in the past 2 weeks, I've been looking at the Lamrim, the guided meditations on the stages of the path that Venerable did a number of years ago, the Lamrim topic, particularly on the disadvantages of anger, the disadvantages of this fuming mind. And it has really helped me to unpack it and look at it a little bit more closely. I really wanted to examine them to see what this mind, how it colors my life, how it colors my experiences, how it really is the cause of a lot of my mental suffering right now. So I wanted to share some of the reflections. And the best way that I thought that I could do this is actually to take the questions that are in this meditation, give them out, and then my response to them as I unpack this in my morning meditations while I'm in the hall. So the first one is, are you happy when you're angry? Well, I feel charged. I feel my adrenaline pumping. I feel fired up. I'm restless. I'm agitated. I'm short-fused. My thinking is narrowed and unclear. No, I'm not happy. Do you see a pattern in the type of situations in which you become angry? Are there particular people that seem to trigger this within you, and what effect does this pattern have in your life? So this is one of those, it's been kind of a life pattern, but it's just been brought up in my face so much lately, is that I get very angry with people who have power, who have authority, who have wealth, who have influence, when they use it to harm or when they use it only for their own self-interest. I have issues. I have generally issues around authority figures in this life as it is, but when I see this particular dynamic playing out, it just fuels this angry, infuriated mind very, very easily. And what it does is that any kind of person in my life that has any influence or authority, I start putting them under a microscope. And I start finding fault with every little foible, every little slight mistake. It becomes a huge issue. And I just go off. Everybody gets put into one basket called authority, influence, power, wealth, which can really endanger some very precious relationships. Okay, then number 3 is, how do you feel when you're angry? Underneath it, is there hurt? Is there confusion? Is there sadness? Because anger, and I've really connected with this, is that, you can see how you might misperceive, I perceive that I've got some energy, I've got some power, I've got some authority in this anger. And the question is, get in touch with what might be underneath it. So this feeling of unsettled, agitated, emotionally unbalanced, underneath it, I have really touched into a fear, a real fundamental fear, not just for myself, but there is a fundamental fear and concern about the well-being of this world. I'm scared for it. I'm really frightened. The world feels really vulnerable right now with people not doing really well with their own emotions and really being on high alert. I mean, I'm struggling with my own anger and own fear, and I have some tools, but I just feel the world, the human family is really vulnerable right now, that there's just a lot going on that people seem to have struggles on trying to control their emotions. So there's fear, there's a really frightened sense for the world's well-being. Number 4, do you communicate with others effectively when you're angry, or do you lash out, or do you withdraw and not speak? Well, when I'm angry, I'm quite a bit more hunkered down. I'm not a lasher outer, but I'm definitely a cold withdrawal. Leave me alone. I don't speak with ease. I'm impatient. I don't listen very well, and I certainly withdraw. That's one of my coping mechanisms. I get hunkered down. What is the effect of your actions on others? Well, my conversations, the intensity of my emotions, my opinions, I think they make some people in the community quite nervous, like, let's change the subject. Or I can stir people up because when I get so impassioned, I get at the edge of my seat and my voice gets up and my body language starts to change. I can really either stir people up who are struggling with their own emotions, or I make people really kind of, cool your jets, Semke. Let's get on to another topic. And it really does make an impact. It certainly doesn't do anything to nourish kindness. It doesn't do anything to nourish connection or warmth. When I'm angry, it's just like it just gets really cold and hot at the same time. And then later on, when I'm calmed down, how do I feel about what I said, what I'm thinking, what I'm putting out there when I'm really, really angry? Is there shame? Is there guilt? Is there loss of self-esteem? Some sort of, confusion about it? Well, I kind of looked into that, and what comes up for me is that I feel really disappointed in myself. I wouldn't call it shame. I'd call it a little bit of sadness. A part of me knows that I'm struggling with anger and outrage and really pushes my wisdom and compassion to the back of my mind. So then it doesn't become so available to me in relationship to the community. Because as long as I'm angry and infuriated and distracted by what's going on and fueling this afflicted state of mind, I disconnect, that I miss the part of my mind of loving and kindness. I start to feel quite lonely. I'm missing it because it's not there. Those things can't abide in my mind at the same time. So I'm really angry and outraged or fuming about what's going on in the world. I just can't find the kind heart. I can't find my compassion. I can't find my tolerance or my forgiveness. And it's really lonely. And so how do you think you appear in other people's eyes when you're angry? Does it promote mutual respect, friendship, and harmony? No. I don't know whether people are judging me. Maybe they're steering clear of me. I'm not as available to members in the community when my mind is like this. And so in some way, because we're so interdependent, it can contribute to the pain and suffering and the impact of the community, this unsettledness or this unease or this agitation. But I really do believe that the state of mind that I've got going really impacts as an interdependent, world, is that I think it impacts in the long term, the peace and suffering, the pain and the suffering, and it doesn't promote peace at all. So then try to make a determination to observe when it arises and apply the antidotes. So then I wanted to just talk, because I told Venerable about this mind a few days ago before she left, and this is what she told me. And I can't remember which pronoun she particularly used in the conversation, but she said getting angry at him, them, or it, she said, it's not worth it. She says, because anger destroys all the merit that I have garnered. And of course, they've said this in the sutras. They've said that any moment of anger can destroy lots and lots of merit. And she basically came back and said that. She said that my anger is endangering my merit. I'm not destroying it. And she also said that in these degenerate times, the merit that we accumulate in one day is more than anyone accumulated during the Buddha's life, the whole time he taught. That's how degenerate and how difficult it is to cultivate virtue, to keep that mind, to dedicate it for our awakening. She said it's more powerful within one day. If we can hold it, if we can dedicate it, if we can protect it, it's more powerful than even during the time of the Buddha. which I was really quite stunned, but that's what she said. Not just one day, but one day life during the Buddha. And she also said, as she kind of ended this little direction for me, she said that everything in these times is our practice. And I know personally, when I've been sick or I've been struggling with something, or a family member we're struggling with, she'll say, that's your practice, MK. Being sick and dealing with that, with your aging, with what's going on in the community with yourself. You've got to work with that, and that's your practice. But she was very, very clear that she said, everything that's going on right now is our practice. Not just this, but that. So that really woke me up and gave me a very powerful incentive to decisively counteract my frustration, this very angry upset, by taking these adverse times onto the path and using them to transform our minds, to nourish our compassion, not our anger, to fuel our love, not our hatred, and to cultivate bodhicitta, not this self-centeredness, because this anger's got a lot of self-focus on it. It's got a lot of self-obsession on it. So I'm just kind of sitting with that. It's kind of calmed me down a little bit, and I'm tired. I'm just emotionally tired this week, past 2 weeks. So I'm really taking her teaching to heart, to realize that this is a powerful, as difficult it is, it's a powerful time to accumulate that vast storehouse of merit that we need to have to be able to walk the Bodhisattva path, and that the world is offering us an incredible opportunity to do that. So to kind of switch my mind from saying, I hate what's going on, is to say, my goodness, may I practice on behalf of them and do the best I can. Anyway, that's what I'm working with.